I was not planning on watching Jurassic World Rebirth. I had zero interest. When I saw posts about it on X, I would scroll right by. I skipped watching the trailers. I saw some TV spots here and there, but I didn't really pay attention. I lost interest in the franchise because even though Jurassic Park, the original Steven Spielberg movie, was excellent and it's one of my favorite movies, it just grew tiresome. Even with the Jurassic World reboot, which did inject some much needed energy into the franchise, it just didn't quite capture the magic of the original. I didn't even bother watching Jurassic World Dominion, and I was ready to write off the franchise entirely. Then, I had the opportunity to watch the movie early at a screening, and I couldn't say no. And here's the really surprising part. I really liked the movie, and I'm glad I watched it. So I'm not going to give away any major spoilers. I will have to talk about a little bit of the plot. It's kind of hard to talk about whether the movie's good or not with at least giving a tiny little bit away, but I'm going to keep that to an absolute minimum. I do not want to take away anybody's enjoyment of this film. I'll say right off the bat that one of the best things about the movie is that you don't need to know anything about the previous movies. I never saw Jurassic World Dominion, and I didn't really feel like I was missing anything when this movie started. This movie explains everything you need to know to enjoy this movie. Dinosaurs exist, and then this movie happens. That's pretty much all you need to know, and it works. The movie opens with a little bit of horror. They're on a research facility about 20 years ago, and things don't go terribly well. It feels very science fiction horror, and it sets the tone for the movie right away. Flash forward to modern times, dinosaurs are all over the Earth, but not as much as they used to be. Earth of today is an Earth of 65 million years ago, so the dinosaurs are dying out except for in the tropical areas. There are some sick dinosaurs roaming around. There's a brontosaurus, I think it was a brontosaurus, blocking traffic in New York. That was kind of neat. The movie establishes its characters pretty much right away. You are introduced to the main story of the movie. Basically, it's a MacGuffin chase, but that's okay. It's a well-trod trope that works. We get to know the characters a little bit, not so much that it bogs down the movie, but enough that you care about who they are and want to see what happens with them next. So for reasons I'm not going to explain, they have to go on an expedition to this forbidden dinosaur island. Meanwhile, there's a family out on a sailing trip together. And there's a little bit of worry that some sea monster dinosaurs might eat them, but, you know, those sea monster dinosaurs have been dying out and there hasn't been an attack in a long time, so they felt safe. Well, they weren't safe. It sort of has a Jaws, just when you thought it was safe to go back into the water vibe. Speaking of Jaws, that's another Steven Spielberg movie. Director Gareth Edwards channels Steven Spielberg very well in the tone of this movie. I didn't know it was directed by Gareth Edwards until I saw his name in the closing credits. And after I saw that, it kind of clicked. Okay, I can see his style in this. I can see a little bit of Rogue One. The action is filmed a certain way. I probably would have been a little bit more inclined to watch the movie had I known he was the director, but because I wasn't paying attention, because I was so sick of these movies, I didn't notice, but it was a pleasant surprise. One thing about certain sequels that I don't really care for, and I try to avoid movies like this, is when there are no characters from any of the previous movies, as far as I know. But you know what? It still works because the characters that are in this movie are likable or not likable. But if they're not likable, they're not likable on purpose, if you know what I mean. And when these people are in danger, you genuinely want them to be okay. And it adds to the horror. It adds to the tension when their lives are threatened. I mean, come on. Is it really a spoiler warning to say people are going to get eaten by dinosaurs? That's kind of why we watch these movies, right? But you want them to survive. And they come perilously close to dying a lot. Some of them do die, but I'm not going to tell you who. So are two separate groups of people, the family on the boating vacation and the people on the mission to go get MacGuffin. They end up getting together, then they end up getting split apart, and then they end up trying to go through certain areas and try not to get eaten. The basic premise of the movie is they're moving from point to point, from story element to story element, small achievable goals while trying not to die in the process. And it creates a very good thriller. It creates a very good adventure movie. There's a little bit of humor, and it's not ham-fisted, silly humor that's out of place. Most of the humor just comes from the people, while under stress, saying things that make you laugh. They're not trying to be jokey, but they're genuine. They feel like real people saying things that real people would say, and some of them made us laugh. Now, there are a couple things that you have to kind of set aside reality a little bit to watch the movie. They're on this island that was abandoned like 18-ish years ago, but all the electronic things still work. They pull a flashlight off the wall in this old jungle warehouse thingy, and it still works. And then it occurred to me that, the battery probably wouldn't last that long, but it is possible. Behind me on the shelf, I have a toy Tribble. I bought that thing from a Sam Goody in a VHS package of the Tribble episodes, and the battery, the battery in this thing has never been changed. It's the original battery from when I bought this thing. It makes a Tribble noise. Never replaced the battery. It's 30 years old. I don't know what's inside of this thing, but holy cow, I'm surprised it still works. So I guess if my Tribble from 30 years ago still works, the flashlights on the wall in the abandoned warehouse probably, I guess, could work. Be right back up there, guy. The movie theater experience isn't what it used to be. COVID almost killed off going to the movies. I highly recommend you go to see this in the theater and find the biggest screen that you can. I have a big screen TV in my living room, but these gigantic dinosaurs need to be seen on a giant screen. There's still a lot of wonder and awe. The special effects are amazing. It's hard to tell where practical effects end and CGI begins. In some areas it's pretty obvious because, how else do you film it if you don't have computer graphics? But it's convincing. There's a big climactic sequence where there's quite a bit of horror, quite a bit of tension, quite a bit of people being chased by dinosaurs, and you genuinely want the people to survive. It's a survival story. There's no ham-fisted politics. The movie doesn't preach at you. The movie doesn't try to give you any message. It just shows you people that you care about, that you want to survive, and you don't need to know anything about the Jurassic World franchise in order to get that. I highly recommend this movie. I wouldn't take really young kids to it. It's kind of scary for the little ones. If you've seen a Jurassic Park movie, you probably know what level of horror to expect. But on the big screen with the Tyrannosaurus and other monsters are growling at you, you can feel it. Minor criticism, the movie kind of stretched a little bit too long. Maybe it could have been trimmed back a little bit. The dinosaur chases got a little bit old after a while because how many times can you run away from dinosaurs and not get eaten before it gets kind of Of course, not everybody gets away, but I won't tell you who or how. But trust me, go to the movie. You will thank me later. Even if you're completely bored of this franchise like I was, I couldn't recommend this movie enough. Gareth Edwards did a fantastic job. He channeled Spielberg. It was exciting. It was funny. It was scary. After the movie's been out a while, maybe I'll give a more detailed spoiler-filled review. But for now, thanks for stopping by my channel.